What's happening? Thanks for joining us. The 49ers melt, literally and figuratively, and the Cardinals walk out of Levi's Stadium somehow with a 24-23 win, 23-10 at the half. They're rolling, and the 49ers, a fumble by Mason, 6:10 left in the game. The Cardinals go all the way down the field. The 49ers got the ball with plenty of time left, but the second play of trying to win the game, ball gets tipped up in the air. Thompson on the blitz, Kazir White, the former Eagles linebacker, comes down with it, and the 49ers done, 24-23. They got a quick turnaround in Seattle on Thursday. Seattle lost to the Giants. The Rams lost to the Packers, so at least they get a little bit of help. But what are the issues now and moving forward? We love talking to Krueger every Monday to talk about it. Larry Krueger. Make sure you're checking out the Krueger Show on YouTube, Niners Nightly. And now that the Giants are done, you're hearing it right here on the Leader and watching him on YouTube do it as well. Tremendous on 49ers coverage and everything else. And Krueger joins us courtesy of the Uma Guest Line. If you're watching on YouTube and Twitch, you can see his bright, shining face. Good morning. Yeah, or good afternoon, I should say. How are you?
Well, yeah, good afternoon. And I don't know if it's a good afternoon, but it's afternoon. Man, the Niners have got in some ways, I kind of think that the quick turnaround might be exactly what the doctor ordered this week. You don't need to practice. You just they need to get their thoughts organized. They need to lick their wounds and get back out there and be better Thursday night. They had to at least split. Now they have to have this one Thursday night.
Yeah, players have the day off. They'll treat tomorrow like it's a Wednesday and get back at it. But right now they're working on kickers, so that's the first thing.
Yeah.
So many things contributed to this loss, and ultimately it was the red zone, which is right now the dead zone and the low red zone, and inability to run in, and obviously the way they're getting manned up and inability to stop the run. But how much just a factor in the strategic way the game was handled? If Jake Moody does not get hurt on that kickoff, do they win the game yesterday?
I think. Well, I mean, they would have attempted a long field goal and probably would have made it. That would have given them 3 more points. Yeah. How long would it have been?
45 when they kicked them. They went for it on 4th and 23. It would have been a 45-yard field goal.
Yeah. So, the percentages of 45-yard field goals being made in 2024 is high, very high. So, you give them 3 more points and they would have won the game. I think it was very, very vitally important. And it just kind of exacerbated the fact that Brock took the sack there that he really shouldn't have taken. That was I'm a big advocate for Brock moving around. I think he's moving around because of the pressure that he's feeling, because I don't think his receivers are getting the separation, and he's just so competitive. He's trying to make a play. But when you get in that mindset of leave the pocket, make a play, leave the pocket, make a play, occasionally you're going to leave the pocket and make mistakes and turn the ball over and have negative plays. And so much about the NFL at the quarterback position is about make the play, but a big part of what made Tom Brady is that he did a great job at avoiding the negative plays and knowing when to go to the next down. And I think that's a difficult thing. It's easier said than done. It's easy for us to evaluate it calmly and coolly when we autopsy this thing afterwards. It's much more difficult when you're being asked on a hot day to run for your life and make something happen, to know when to just throw it away.
Krug, the big thing, like Pop said here, is red zone-wise. I mean, there's a lot of issues with this team right now, but red zone-wise, they've gone from first in the league at nearly 70% scoring touchdowns with Christian McCaffrey to now 40% and 30th in the league. And yesterday they go 1 of 6, and we talked about Moody being out and all those kind of things. But what do you think needs to change? Because to me, I understand that McCaffrey being out is a major part of this, but as far as I know, he's not coming back anytime soon. I sure as hell know he's not coming back Thursday against Seattle, so we can sit here and say it's McCaffrey, but they need to find a solution now.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's Brock, I think, needs to, be a little bit more on point in those tight areas. The space is not, the space shrinks down in that area. And so it really puts, they're winging it a little bit at times, and he's really good at improvising. But this is where, when you're winging it, it burns you. So I think they need to, come up with a couple of short area designed plays that they can free, somebody open. And Brock's going to have to be accurate, and then he's going to have to probably make a couple anticipatory throws. But yeah, overall, you look at Brock and say a couple turnovers, maybe you want him to dial it down. But I actually think in the red zone, I'd like to see him get a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more, aggressive as far as their ability to find that open guy. I mean, they really, he's kind of winging it in the red zone, and then you can kind of tell. They're not getting that separation.
Nah, and why? I mean, their guys are not winning, and they're getting a lot more man. And obviously, when you get condensed down there, the room to roam, you would think Joanna would be an effective red zone target, but they've tried a couple of times to get him matched up against Marcus Jones against New England. He couldn't get separation. This past game, we'll find out this week when we talk to him, but he didn't look right. He fell down in the huddle, his hand or arm, something was wrong with him, and he wasn't very effective. But it's funny, what they're doing to the Niners defensively when the opponents are on offense, they're killing them with bunch formations in late motions where they're bumping out a guy. Yesterday, Jair Brown and Charvarius Ward, both covered the out, left Michael Wilson wide open on an in. One thing I would like to see Kyle do is just try to scheme it up in the low red zone where you have natural pick plays, rub plays, and just try to create a bust where you come out of a bunch formation. Like the one time they scored in the red zone yesterday when George Kittle lined up as an inline Y, they just dropped him. So it became an immediate, here, it's yours. There was no drop. It was just a quick one over the middle, and that was a gimme. I mean, the one thing I'd like to see in the passing game, I don't think the Niners do it as much as other teams do it against the Niners, where bring your wide receivers together, create natural pick plays, Larry, to get these guys uncovered, especially in the low red zone.
And Greg, you would think that it would be second nature to do these kinds of things because Kyle has been genius at times this year at putting together route combinations that leave receivers in the clear. I mean, in the clear. I thought that beautiful pass from Purdy to Ayuk on the fifth play of the game the previous week was a genius design where you had the linebackers thinking they were covering in the right flat, and instead off their left ear was Ayuk sprinting across the formation to a gigantic void. So, I mean, Shanahan is as good as there is at springing guys open by using, great route combinations to do it. I agree with you. Let's see some more in the short area. Let's see some more rub routes. Let's see some more what we're really calling picks. They're really just talking, just run a pick. Just run a pick, but you can't obviously make it. You got to make it look like you're running a route. But yeah, maybe they got to take a little bit more time in the way they devise some of their goal line plays, red zone plays.
Larry Krueger joining us, and by the way, you can see him on YouTube and Twitch right now as well. So make sure that you tune in. Talking about the 49ers lost 24-23. So with all the negative going around the team, and there is certainly a lot to fix.
Sure.
The positives that come out of it are Brandon Ayuk goes 8 for 143 because he can actually beat man coverage, whereas Jennings struggled. It was more of an injury, but he had the 13-yarder, and then Debo had just one catch as well. And then for as poorly as they're playing, they go into Seattle because the rest of the division isn't very good. So Seattle loses to the Giants. The Rams, injured still, lose to Green Bay, and Arizona does beat you. You had a chance to kind of bury them there. But if you can win in Seattle, you're 3-3. So how quickly can they forget this one and go into Seattle where, to be honest, I know Seattle got off to a 3-0 start, but they were playing bad quarterbacks and bad teams. And even though Daniel Jones isn't a great quarterback, he played well against them. Yesterday they lost in Detroit, as we saw a week ago. So now all of a sudden they're sliding, having lost 2 in a row, and you can go up there, get a win, and possibly get yourself back on track.
Yeah, I mean, John, everything you said, I agree with. I would say, the one thing, just looking at the condensed version late last night of Seattle Giants, is that Tyrone Tracy ran for like almost 8 yards a carry or something, and the Niners can run the ball on the Seattle team defensively. Murphy, I think, is still hurt, right?
They just said Nwosu. They just said this morning, too, that Nwusu's still not going to play. He hasn't played all year, but he's their best pass rusher, and he's not playing. And they might be missing Mafe as well.
Right. I just got off the phone doing a segment for Niners Nightly with Dave Softy Mahler, I should say. Not salty, Softy. He was salty, though. He was really salty today because, of course, they lost and they didn't play well against the Giants, and they thought they were going to win that game. But, he thinks the criticism of Shanahan down here is crazy, which I kind of do as well. If you want to sit there and say that Kyle is not perfect, that's fine. But any idiot can take a sledgehammer to their kitchen cabinets and countertops. It takes a contractor to build a new kitchen. Anybody can say, get rid of Kyle. It takes somebody, with a plan to actually say, well, this guy would be better, and here's why. But I think there's some positives out of this game. One, they held Connor to 1-5 in the first half. They did a nice job against Connor early. They're going to need to do that kind of a job against Walker this week. There's no question. And then also, I thought there were a lot of positives. Fred Warner continues to play at a high level. Ayuk finally got off and is rounding into form. Mason went for 6.4 a carry and looks remarkably fresh despite the fact of his workload. But I think they need to make some personnel decisions on the defensive side. Devondre Campbell, guys, in pass coverage, he was targeted 4 times. He gave up 4 receptions. If you look at his numbers for the year, he's giving up a ridiculously high rating against. He had a 105.2 passer rating against him yesterday when targeted. He's just, he had the wrong run fit on the Kyler untouched 50-yard gallop. I just think Campbell, they've lost a ton going from Greenlaw to Campbell. And I don't want to put it all on Campbell. It's not all on Campbell. But he's really struggling, and teams are going at him. Then you mix in the fact that Hufanga's struggling. Mooney Ward had his worst game. They've got to be better coverage-wise. And I think with Campbell, they've got some options there. You've got Graham. You've got Winters if he's healthy. I think I would look at some lineup changes there with Campbell. I just think he's getting toasted too regularly.
I think it was coming. Curtis Robinson doesn't get carted off the field a couple of Thursdays ago with torn ACL. I think they were going to make a change, but they're losing linebackers. Fred tried yesterday, Larry, but why? He wasn't fast. He just wasn't the same player. But maybe he shouldn't have played, but I think he felt what's around there. The one guy, and it wouldn't be Jalen Graham, it would be D. Winters. And I was a little surprised when they went base. D started yesterday with Fred and Devondre, but when they went nickel, they took D off the field. So Devondre was out there for every single defensive snap. He played all 58. They've taken D. Winters off special teams now because that ankle is wearing down, so they're going to use him from scrimmage. He wound up playing. He played 60 snaps last year, 13 this year with the ankle injury, and yesterday he was able to get on the field for 26 snaps, 45%. So I think the change is coming, where they're going to put D. Winters in there in the nickel, and I don't know what they do in the base, Bethune and Graham. I'm not saying just bench Devondre completely, but do they do it on a short week? I think the changes are coming in the mini bye. After they get through this game, because it's hard. You got to just go play on Thursday.
No, you're
Maybe
right.
you make some changes in game. I mean, I'm looking for. Remember last year when they lost that game to Cincinnati? They had their bye week. All of a sudden, let's change. Steve Wilkes, you're coming downstairs from the booth. You're going to the field. We're going to change the nickel. Oliver, you're benched. We're moving Demo inside. Amory Thomas is going to play. Then they had to make a change later. I think that change is coming. I thought it was coming in past weeks. Can you do it on a short week, or do you spring it on the Chiefs coming off the mini bye, do you think?
Well, and it's also not just about, what's the right move personnel-wise. It's also about, what's the reaction? These are living, breathing, locker rooms are living, breathing organisms. And it's not, what's Campbell's reaction going to be? When Campbell even was approached in the locker room to talk about his struggles, he has no clue why he's ever coming off the field. So I almost feel like if they decide they're going to go away from Campbell, that they're going to have to literally go away from Campbell and move on from Campbell. So it's going to be. I don't see him being in a happy-go-lucky. I'm on the bench and I played. No, he's not. If he's either going to be the guy or he's probably going to be somewhere else. So I don't know. I mean, they're just really. They look slow there, Greg. I mean, they look really slow to me. I mean, I thought the biggest defensive play of the game that I saw as far as violence came when Greenlaw on the sideline hit the tight end. I mean, it was like that was the most physicality I'd seen. He hit McBride on the sideline, and I was like, "Hey, man, that's what's lacking in this defense, and that is what's lacking. That's how great Dre is. He probably isn't going to be back until November, or my guess December, maybe. I mean, it might be. Who knows? I mean, it was a very serious injury. He was suffered in February. So, but he is an All-Pro player, and they tried to get by with Campbell, and Campbell a couple years ago was a really nice player, but clearly he's regressed, and I just think that they probably need to go with somebody a little faster there. I'd like to see a little bit more of Renardo Green. And then the defensive front did not get it done yesterday. Kyler did not feel the 49er defensive line nearly as much as I thought he needed to.
Great stuff, Krug. What's up for tonight? You'll be on tonight, right?
We're gonna open up the phone lines tonight. You know, it's like tomorrow night, Dave Softy Mahler is going to join us. Wednesday night, JD is going to be in the house. Thursday night, of course, we'll have the game. But Friday night on Niners Nightly and tonight on Niners Nightly, the day after the game, you know, what a better time to just kind of review the game, go through some of these things, throw out a couple ideas, and open up the phone lines and let the Niner faithful have their say. So tonight at 6 o'clock, we're going to do exactly that, fellas. Open up the lines and let the fans have their say and see what comes out of it.
Awesome stuff, man. We'll look forward to it. We'll tune in, and it's always good to talk to you, man. Thanks.
Yep. Great to see you guys.
Thanks, Krug.
Right there. That's what I sat next to Krug and JD. It was like a sandwich. It was a Krug JD sandwich, and I was the meat during the game yesterday. It's a nice visual.